A woman's voice carries wisdom. It carries discernment. It carries healing. And sometimes it carries pain that has waited a long time to be released. La da 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 da. Blessings. It's your girl, Yapah Judah, and this is Evolving with Yapah Judah. Welcome back to episode 5 of our topic, A Woman's Voice. I'm so happy to have my ladies here with me today, which is Camille, Knowledge, and Kendra. Welcome, ladies.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Now, the subtopic of A Woman's Voice for today is the power of silence versus sound. And the question for today is, how do you personally discern when to speak and when to be still? Knowledge, would you like to go first?
Absolutely. So it's definitely, I realize that in moments when you don't have the words to speak, that alone is actually okay. A lot of times people feel like they have to fill the empty spaces with things or noise because it's just because everyone else is doing it. But sometimes it's okay to not have an answer or to not have a message in the moment. I feel like if you have a message, then share it, because it wasn't put into your heart for it wasn't put into your heart for it to just stay there. It was meant for someone else. A lot of times the things that we are given, like the messages, I call them downloads. Anytime we receive a download, although it may be for us, I feel like and I believe that it's definitely and it's truly for someone else. That it can help someone else along their journey. But I do feel like that if you have a message for what's being asked or talked about, then by all means, it's our responsibility to share that message.
Mhm.
However, it's not our responsibility to make sure that anyone actually accepts it.
Okay.
So we share the message. We can share the message, and it's okay if someone says, "You know what? I disagree." That's completely okay. You did your part.
Mm-hmm.
But our words and messages will resonate with the ones with the chosen few that is meant to resonate with.
Okay.
Um so yeah, that's my answer to that.
Well, I have a follow-up question to that. And what does obedience look like for you in those moments?
So obedience in that moment, or in any of those moments, just looks like you sharing what was put on your heart to say. um and when we don't say it, we kind of my thing is sharing what you have, sharing what was put in your heart to say. And it's okay if they don't resonate with it. A lot of times people will say, "You know what, I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to say that." And it's kind of like it's egging at them to actually say something. That right there is kind of like your inner voice, or that's the spirit telling you to say it out loud. It's for them. They may need it, whether they receive it right then and there. You planted the seed for them to hear. But when you don't say it and you walk away from it, then you're left with, "You know what, man, I should have said this." Then you're left with the feeling throughout the day, or however, you're left with that feeling, and you're thinking, "Man, I should have said this a little different, or I should have said this at all." So we aren't given those messages for us to just hold on to it. They're meant for someone to hear it and take it with them along their journey. So obedience just means that if you get some, and sometimes we don't even realize that we're supposed to say it. We don't feel like, and a lot of times, and I speak for myself, and you ladies may resonate, or whoever's listening to this, you may, something may stop you from saying it because of the audience that you were around in the past. So your past, maybe you're around, you had a message that could have resonated with the right people, and instead you were around the wrong crowd and they took it the wrong way. And so because of that particular situation, we don't say what needs to be said because we were around the wrong frequency of people. Because I don't want to say that anybody's mindset or whatever is bad or is wrong. It's just they're not resonating with your frequency at the moment. Everybody has a different level that they're on in life. So listening to that still voice within yourself, that and that spirit speaking to you, I feel like that's obedience, when you can listen to it, when you know, okay, you know what, it's not really egging at me to say anything. Maybe I shouldn't. If you and it goes the same way with you if you don't say anything. If you have the spirit telling you, you know what, maybe I shouldn't say anything, then maybe you shouldn't. And that's my answer to that.
Well, thank you for that. Okay. Kendra, the
Yes,
same
ma'am.
question. How do you personally discern when to speak and when to be still?
Um, Honestly, I usually go by the situation, the vibe of the whole just conversation. But I've I've been learning to be more of a listener because most of my life I've been kind of like, I felt like I've been silenced and not really able to speak, and I kind of developed this like habit of like talking over people or anyone in a conversation sometimes, just to be able to get something out, just to be able to say it, to be heard. But as I've gotten a little more seasoned in life, I don't like to say older, I like to say a little seasoned in life.
Mhm.
I've learned that most times it's best to just listen first before you respond. And then, well, that goes for most situations. And then that honestly just kind of lets you know if you really are, like, if it's the right time to even respond or not to that person, because you have to dedicate energy, that kind of energy, towards more positive things than more negative things. Anyway, so I kind of just go off of the conversation, whether I need to, and this really just applies to anything in life. If I really need to apply energy towards that, like direct my energy towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And also just growing in my spiritual life, I'm learning um, to just listen more, just to be, the silence actually says more. And it also gives you the ability to learn more, to gain more knowledge on things, because I feel like it needs your total attention. And so therefore you don't need to respond, more so just listen. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm kind of getting off track, but I feel like I'm where I need to be at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Absolutely.
but yes, so
Mm-hmm.
for
And
me, I
then,
go off of the energy that I'm getting off of.
mm-hmm. Right.
So that's my answer to that.
Oh, okay. And then the follow-up question again, what does obedience look like for you in those moments?
Me achieving a goal that I've set for myself, as far as maturing in that sense of listening, just listen,
Mm-hmm.
and not being so quick to respond, because
Mm-hmm.
that's more of an assumption, I feel. If you're responding immediately, it's like, oh, you're not hearing the full entirety of what's being said. So I feel like in that sense, the obedience is being able to achieve my goal of being a great listener so that I can be my best me.
Mm-hmm. I love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, I love that too.
And that is that. And every day is a new day to learn
Mhm.
more about
Mm-hmm.
yourself, especially when you're raising children and your life has been all about them and you lose yourself. And it's like, okay, so what can I do for myself to make sure I'm okay and I don't revert back to bad habits? So it's like self-work always.
Mhm.
Always making sure your spiritual self is also being nourished. And
Mhm.
um yeah, that's about it.
Well, thank you for that.
You're
Um,
welcome.
and Camille, the
Yes,
same
ma'am.
question. How do you personally discern when to speak and when to be still?
So I actually resonated a lot with what Kendra said.
Mhm.
Honestly, I mean, she took the words right out of my mouth. Things that I had already thought about. One is silence is golden,
Mhm.
and things. These are the things that I've taught myself over the years. I've also been a chatty Cathy, my whole life. And I at one point went from being very chatty to quiet because I allowed individuals to make me feel that my speaking was an inconvenience for them. Um, and so because of that, I kind of sometimes would fall to the back in the shadows. And then I realized, well, that's not necessarily me either. I don't have to be the center of attention, but I also don't have to be invisible.
Mhm.
So trying to find
Yeah.
a balance between being present and then also being present to hearing other people.
Mhm.
So that's why I said silence is golden because, you know, like Kendra said, you can hear so much more in the quiet. I just also growing up, I had an issue. Sometimes I still do. I get a little uncomfortable when it's too quiet.
Mhm.
And so I'll tend to be the person, if you're ever in a group and it's always that one person who's like, so what about the game last night? Or
Yeah.
like you just start sparking up conversation just so it won't be so quiet. I still tend to do that. But I've also, as I'm getting older or seasoned, as Kendra said,
Mhm.
um, I have learned that sometimes silence is okay. And it's okay to be in a quiet space, in a quiet room around other individuals who maybe this may be the first time all day that they've been able to have some type of quiet.
Mhm.
Um, so I've grown to accept that. Um, and as far as obedience,
Mhm.
I would say going with my gut, right?
Mhm.
Going into a space, also teaching myself how to sometimes it's okay to speak up, sometimes it's okay to be quiet.
Right.
Um, listening to myself and paying attention, read the room, you know, as Kendra and Knowledge both spoke, you know, in regards to teaching this to your children. It's not about you. Read the room. What's the vibe?
Right.
What's
Mhm.
going on? Paying attention to body language, paying attention to the listener. Are they open to what I'm even saying? Or are they closed off? Am I wasting my time? Or should I plant this seed anyways?
Mhm.
You know, those are the questions that consistently run through my mind sometimes, and depending on the conversation. And so just using my discernment of speak or be quiet and not taking offense to when it's time for me to be quiet.
Mhm.
Right.
And so yeah, those are the things that I've been teaching myself, and I'm still learning.
Right.
It's an everyday battle,
Mhm.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
every day on I'll catch myself chatting, and then I'll be like, "Girl, be quiet."
Ooh, I do the same thing.
Be quiet. It's okay. They're
Yeah.
not even interested. And that doesn't mean that I'm not an interesting person. It just means that person is just not interested in what I'm saying. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
also taught myself over the years to not take offense
Mhm.
to things. It is okay.
Yeah.
And again, as you're becoming more seasoned in life, a lot of those things don't matter anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
True.
So if you have some knowledge to drop, some wisdom to spread, people are either going to listen or they're not going to listen.
That is
And it's
true.
not your job to force people to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
You just share it and then you go about your day. That's it.
That's right.
That's true. Well, I'm gonna answer my own question as well. How do you personally discern when to speak and when to be still? I personally seek the Most High. A lot of times it'll just tell me, like my spirit will just tell me, okay, it's best to just be quiet and listen. And then there's times where I need to speak up and say something. It's literally a feeling that I feel inside. And that's what I go by with that follow-up question. What does obedience look like for you in those moments? The obedience is what my spirit tells me. For me, being an introvert, a lot of times I am to myself, but there are those times where I need to speak, and I will speak. And it's up to that person to want to listen to what I have to say or not. You know, it's all a choice. And I never try to force anyone. I mean, over the years, I've learned, as Kendra has said, as Knowledge has said, as Camille has said, you know, as you become older and wiser, seasoned, it's a different approach to everything that you do. It's a different approach to what you say, how you approach people. And I'm more at the center of being more peaceful than anything. And so that is my answer to those two questions.
Yeah. And a beautiful answer at that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And for our audience, if you are enjoying this conversation, then make sure you stay tuned for more, because we have another fantastic episode coming your way soon. It's your girl, Yapah Judah, and with much gratitude, I send love your way. La da 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 da. I'll talk to you soon. Peace and blessings.